Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Metro Ford Cup Series presented by Old Bashers Racing League. Today for round two, we're at Auto Club Speedway, where it's going to be a long way around this 2-mile raceway. As always, my name's James East, bringing the action 1080p, 60 frames a second. On behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, very glad to have everybody back out on track once more, as well to all of our fans joining us here tonight. As it looks like qualifying underway, we're going to try and get that updated for our drivers as it stands. As it looks like Stanberg on top of the qualifying. Still waiting for a few more drivers to go out. We've got Al Turner making his way out in the number 76 machine. Another packed grid out here as well, ladies and gentlemen. 43 drivers making their way out to Auto Club. A few drivers not able to get into the session in time. There was a little bit of a kerfuffle with having a bit of a problem getting the right session set up. So it looks like things are finally sorted out for these drivers, as we're waiting to see what Turner the 76 machine can do. And as always, thank you all so much for everybody tuning in from across the world. Let us know where you're tuning in from, who you're cheering on, as a lot of these drivers will have this broadcast pulled up on a separate display, listening along to the action. And just about always they go back and watch, and they definitely notice which fans are out here cheering them on. Waiting to see Turner with a 41.5 will do on his second time lap. Right now, Strandberg on top with a 41.02. Running about, let's call it about 7/800ths faster than Milligan did in his opening run. Good to see the number 18 Ford driver, Patrick Milligan, back out on track. He wasn't here last week. A lot more familiar names and faces here in the broadcast tonight. Milligan back on track. Ogle is here as well. I believe Josh Robinson making his way out. And speaking of Ogle, he is out on track in the number 11 machine. First time we've seen him running the Metro Ford Cup Series this season. Ogle known for his great storytelling and very unique paint jobs here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. And it looks like he will once again be sporting the White Claw paint. I believe it's a seltzer edition we're getting out of the number 11. Let's see, some of the drivers haven't made their way out on track yet. As Ogle launches himself up in the standings, now 8th. Josh Robinson also going out on track, number 23 machine. The two Team Auto drivers, I am fairly certain, have switched to Ford this season, so good to see them supporting the league sponsor, Metro Ford. Robinson begins his time lap. He's got a best, a 41.01. MacArthur getting all the way up there to second with a 41.09. He'll edge out Milligan from that second place qualifying spot. As Ogle completes his run, he'll have to settle for 9th here today. Robinson will be one of the last drivers to put down a qualifying time, I believe. And he propels himself up to 12th with a 41.33. A lot of drivers haven't put down times yet. Bruce Pearson, Ken Huff, Bert Dodson, Don Hastings, Tim Kennedy, Chris Sidner, Carl Burke, Lloyd Moore. All not putting down times. Not a lot of time left to do that either. So now we're going to see what the 23 machine can do in his first qualifying run of the season. Unable to make it out to Daytona last week. And Robinson, a 40.99, will take over the top qualifying spot. His first time out this season, edging out Strenberg by about 0.03 of a second. Showing just how tight this qualifying was, how close these drivers are on speed, and how exciting that this main event is going to be for our fans at home as we get ready to go 120 laps here at Auto Club. This is going to be a good one, ladies and gentlemen. Qualifying comes to a close, and let's get ready to send them out for today's main event. Starting on pole, Josh Robinson, the number 23 machine. Kevin Strandberg starting second. Wayne, the fast Canadian MacArthur, starts third. Patrick Milligan starting fourth. William Fletcher fifth on the grid. Eddie Jones starts sixth. Dakota Pischke starting seventh. Dale Copeland starts eighth. John Hinchcliffe starting ninth. Tom Ogle starts 10th. Jeff Lydon starting 11th. Chris Walsh 12th on the grid. Cycling it back to Brian Lynch starting 13th. Brian Lindsay starting 14th. Joe Brown starting 15th. Jonathan Green starting 16th. Bob Light 17th on the grid. Mike Schrader starting 18th. Michael Watt starting 19th. Joel Tech starting 20th. Andrew Hess starting 21st. Al Turner 22nd. Lee Warsdale starting 23rd. Brian McRubbin starting 24th. Kevin Cormier starts 25th. Johnny Tilton starting 26th. Kevin Eitnier starts 27th. Robert Garisco 28th. Jeff Hayward starting 29th. Michael Dow 30th. Larry Cordy will be starting 31st. Joey Buscemi starting 32nd. Greg McDaniel starting 33rd. Tim Kennedy starts 34th. Dan Hill 35th. You've got Ken Huff 36th on the grid here today. And then Bruce Pearson starting 37th. Crank Bell starting 38th. Lloyd Moore 39th. John Hastings starting 40th in the number 32 machine. Carl Burke starting 41st. Chris Sidnor 42nd. And then Bert Dodson will round out the massive field. He'll be starting 43rd in that 59 machine. As let's get ready to go racing, ladies and gentlemen. 120 laps here at Auto Club. And Josh Robinson in his season debut puts it on the top spot in that number 23. Robinson, the most winningest driver last season, and I believe as well the champion in the 2021 season. A few drivers will receive EOLs at the beginning of this event over the maximum incident point per lap system that is in place here at OBRL. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Robinson and Strandberg on the front row to start today's premier event. A absolutely massive pack as it looks like MacArthur trying to make moves early on. Now you can expect drivers to push very, very hard here. We've been seeing about 30 lap windows from practice. Now, we had reports earlier that drivers were able to see 50 laps or so out of fuel, but in practice, we were seeing most drivers come down around lap 29, 30, I believe. So, going to be interesting to see how that pans out tonight. as Kevin Strandberg has taken over the race lead. Number 58 machine up 1 spot over Robinson. Other hard chargers on track, Jonathan Green, the number 37 machine, he's up 5 spots, now sitting 11th. Joey Buscemi in the 56 machine, he's up 6 spots, now running 26. So the moves are definitely being made here early on while the tires are still fresh. Looks like most drivers running that outside line, carrying as much momentum as they possibly can. As we are still stacked up deep. Now right now from 1st to 8th place, less than a second gap, and a very slight break back to Dakota Pischke in the number 1 machine. He's running 9th out on track, about a half second behind this lead pack. And behind Pischke, the rest of the field, nice and tight. Bob Light, the number 97 machine, clicks off a 41.27. That'll be the fastest lap of the race so far out of that 97 Plains driver. Ogle right at the tail end of the pack. Also his first time out on track this season. Look how bumpy it is here at Auto Club in these next-gen Cup cars. A lot of the drivers still kind of getting used to the ins and outs of these machines. This is a fixed setup race, but the cars are a lot more lively than they have been in the past, more likely to snap loose on you. As speaking of, Dale Copeland has big problems, able to hold on to it though. And he will drop back to, I believe, 43rd behind Bert Dodson. No, it's going to be 42nd behind Kennedy. But so far, we'll keep it clean and keep it green as we take a look at the front pack. It's still Strandberg, your race leader. MacArthur 2nd, Robinson 3rd, Milligan 4th. His first time out on track this season. And Eddie Jones currently running 5th in the number 14 machine. And look how tight that lead pack is. That's about 1st through 7th on your screen right now as Ogle tries to make a move around Fletcher and Jones in one go. Sending it up deep, trying to get side by side with Milligan in the number 18 machine. Looks like Jones has a little bit better drive here against Ogle as Ogle and Jones continue going back and forth. And that second pack of drivers led by Jonathan Green starting to catch up quite quickly as the lead pack going too wide, several rows deep. So now MacArthur will take over the race lead from Strandberg, linking up with Josh Robinson. Robinson and Ogle, two teammates, running nose to tail. They're going to try and work against Milligan and Strandberg, who are on the outside line, and see if they can make that inside line work as MacArthur sits proudly in the middle on this race lead. Only 7 laps in, and these drivers pushing very hard early on. As the outside line has a little bit more support, Ogle and Robinson still committed to the bottom groove. But now this is where it gets exciting because Jonathan Green and friends have about joined the fray. You can see Green still just ever so slightly, about 3-4 tenths back from William Fletcher, who runs in 7th. Now there is a lot of give and take here at the OBRL Metro Ford Cup Series. All these drivers race several times throughout the week with each other. A lot of good friends on and off the track, and knowing when to push and when to take it easy. Speaking of pushing, Tom Ogle trying to push Robinson up towards the front and get around the fast Canadian Dwayne MacArthur. As now Robinson and Ogle have taken over first and second. MacArthur gets shuffled back to third. Strandberg fourth. Milligan fifth. Now it's Strandberg's time to try and work that inside line. Trying to slide up in front of Milligan. Looks like he'll hold on to it here as the field charges down the backstretch. As first through about 30th, still in a relatively large pack. From about 30th place back, you've got a couple other smaller groups, but drivers might be just taking it easy, trying to save some fuel. And is that Strandberg once more trying to make some lunges up towards the front? I think it is. As he tries to go side by side. No, that's Milligan on the inside line trying to make something happen against Strandberg. He's got the number 14 of Eddie Jones right behind. We've seen this move work out well for Ogle and Robinson. So now it will be Milligan and Jones working together to try and take that inside line. Milligan run the number 18 Metro Ford-backed Mustang here today. And look at Strandberg. Strandberg's going to send it in deep on the inside line. Will we see Milligan answer? MacArthur watching this show in his rearview mirror and just happy to stay in line behind Robinson and Ogle, burning up just a little bit less fuel than those that are hopping out of the draft at Auto Club. Looks like the field slightly getting more into single file formation. We do have a battle for, I believe it's going to be around the 19th place spot. And it is a war zone back here, ladies and gentlemen, from about 14th back. I believe it's going to be Joe Brown leading this pack. Yes, it is, the number 21 machine. Right behind him, you've got a lot of drivers battling side by side as we try and get a wide angle shot for you. 2 wide and about 5 or 6 rows deep here. Almost looking at 3 wide action and around that 15th place battle. That's Tilton, Light, Lynch, Turner all in the mix here. Oh, there's the 3 wide. That's Hill, Watts, Moore. I believe McRubbin was getting the mix as well there. So heated battles all the way around the circuit. None of these drivers are backing out of it. Everybody trying to fight for their season best or career best finishes. Doesn't matter if it's first, doesn't matter if it's 23rd. These guys are out there looking to race as hard as they possibly can week in and week out. Oh, who's that? That looks like it's Green going for a wild ride. We're going to try and get the camera panned as Green holds on to it. What a save. Try and get a quick replay of that one to see what happened there. Ooh, he gets ever so slightly hooked from Pischke. Not sure if Green came up or Pischke may have came down, but a great save. As Pischke looks like he's going to pull down maybe waiting for Green. I don't think we saw a problem. He's going to come down pit road as well as Jonathan Green. Very interesting. And we have a caution come out. Showing as Lloyd Moore involved in that one. Ooh. There's the 1-1-2 of Dan Hill goes for a ride, and man, Moore just gets clobbered there. What happened to Hill? Hill was able to hold on to it relatively well. All things considered. While Moore will be limping it back in the Wonder Bread 26 machine. And that will be our first caution of the night. And what's this? Joe Copeland finds himself in the wall under caution, taking a tow back to pit road. What happened to Copeland? Did the magic smoke come out of the 55? Yes, it did. Blows up, locks up, and he will be done and out of the event. No fast repairs here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. As I believe most of the field, if not all of our drivers, will come down pit road. Very confused what exactly happened to Copeland there. I didn't quite see him involved in that incident, but apparently something must have happened to put some damage on that machine. As who's this? William Fletcher opts to stay out for now in the number 6 machine. If he does not come down pit road, I believe he'll be starting on pole. And Fletcher does come down pit road a little bit later. So it'll be MacArthur, Robinson, Ogle, Milligan, and Joe Brown, your top 5. Brown up 10 positions so far in the number 21 machine. So let's get ready to send him back out for our first restart of the evening. And here we go, MacArthur on the front spot, Robinson number 23 machine. Gonna see what he can do on the inside line early on. As MacArthur runs out front, Milligan and Jones working the outside line. Robinson's going to link up with his teammate Ogle here shortly, if I had a guess. And already, this is going to be a big one. Oh, the big one is out here at Auto Club. Stramberg, Cormier, Etnier, Corey, Pearson. As it is a parking lot here, ladies and gentlemen. It was a little bit further up. We see the incident. I know the 58 machine involved in that one. We're going to try and get some replay angles here to see what on earth happened to Stramberg, who's squarely in the middle. Just ahead of Stramberg, trying to see who that was. That's the 81 machine of Cormier. So it looks like Cormier got a little bit loose. The 84 tags him. And then things are going to violently stack up here. Drivers on the brakes, but with nowhere to go. It's a pretty wide track here at Auto Club, but if everyone's spinning in front of you, what are you going to do? I think there's smoke ahead as well, so I don't know if this incident with Cormier was the original incident or not. It looked a little bit further ahead from him, but doesn't matter how it accordions back, as everybody, not everybody, but a lot of drivers getting collected. Some drivers diving down pit road to avoid the carnage. As look at that, there's not a lot of ways to get around here. Now some of the drivers doing a good job locking up. Some drivers still managing to crash into each other. What a scene at Auto Club. Smoke on the horizon. As the race leaders, most drivers opting to stay out. As cautions tend to breed cautions. And that is definitely the case here at California. Good to see Dustin Martinson joining us from the spectator area. Hope you're doing well. Ace car is in. Here we go for the second time tonight. MacArthur and Milligan on the front row. Robinson and Jones, your second row. Brown and Ogle, your third row. As we get them fired back up, and out they go. Looks like Milligan was getting a push from their 14 machine of Jones to try and catch up to MacArthur. Robinson also working that outside line to see if he can get around Milligan in some capacity. Oh, MacArthur way up on the high line there. As it looks like he'll get clear of Milligan. Does he try and throw a block? As no, Milligan dives it in deep. Oh, and around goes Milligan. Milligan with the save of the race so far has the back end step out. Able to hold on to it. What a save from the number 18 Ford Mustang. Glad to see Dustin Martinson doing well. As we all take a big moment after Milligan's massive save that allowed MacArthur to move up to the front. Jones now second, Brown running third, Ogle fourth, and Light running fifth. As Ogle looks to want to get around Joe Brown here. Ogle slots up into third. We go a little bit further back. You've got Schrader and Buscemi having a heated battle, while Milligan and Hill also have their own show in the battle for 11th. And up front, here comes Eddie Jones trying to put the pressure on MacArthur, the fast Canadian. Tom Ogle in the bright pink number 11 machine says he wants a piece of this action, as well as the top three drivers looking to see where they're going to make some moves here. It's MacArthur, Jones, Ogle. 1, 2, 3. About a half second back is Brown, Hinchcliffe, Light, Robinson, Hess. Watching these top three drivers put on a show. Looks like Hinchcliffe going to try and make a move here on Brown. Hinchcliffe up 4 spots, trying to make it 5, while Joe Brown is currently up 11 spots. And he will drop back to 5th. Things going well for the field so far. We've had that quick spree of cautions about 25 laps in. But I think things are starting to get slightly settled out amongst the drivers. And soon your top pack, I believe it's going to be about the top 6, 7 drivers will be facing traffic. With Dwayne MacArthur will be the first driver having to slice through the field in that 83 Chevrolet, the Pepsi-backed machine. Looks like Hinchcliffe is going to try and put the pressure on Ogle here on the outside line. Jonathan Green looking for a way by as well, and now MacArthur and Jones will have traffic to play with. That is the heavily wounded 99 machine of Lee Warsdale. And Hinchcliffe way on the bottom, or on the top line, trying to get around Brown, who's way down low. Brown, the number 21 machine. The Toyota Camry currently showing third, but I think Hinchcliffe has a big run on the outside line. He does. Hinchcliffe takes over third. Ogle takes over fourth. And just like that, Brown finds himself in fifth. Look at Joe Brown, though, trying to make some moves on the inside line. And we got word from Dale Copeland. Accidentally hit him with the old money shift and blew it all up, left the magic smoke slide out of that motor. So hate to see it for Copeland, one of great drivers out there each and every week. Oh, here we go. Gotta be careful. Brown, Hinchcliffe. A little bit of three-wide action. And we will have another caution, as I believe it's Johnny Tilton going off track. Where'd he go? Oh! What on earth happened there? That's Tilton and the 68 machine, I believe, of Tim Kennedy. Oh, Kennedy comes up on that one, I believe. I can't quite tell if Tilton came down, but he catches the outside wall, and look at this. He gets one whole flip. And he's going to make it, I believe, a two-flipper here today before he lands back on four wheels. And then takes a tow back to pit road. He will be out, but a spectacular crash. And unfortunately, Tilton will be done for the evening. That'll be our third caution. What was that? Was that Hinchcliffe I just saw? I think Hinchcliffe just bent it leaving pit road. Oh, too much throttle, and around goes Hinchcliffe. He will not be happy that was on the instant replay here tonight, but we can try and catch all the action up here in the broadcast booth for better or worse. We're seeing drivers still having problems under caution. But we're going to try and get them formed to back up. A little bit of a weird race here tonight compared to some of the usual action we've seen at the OBRL Metro Ford Cup Series, sponsored by Kimball. If you are in Kimball, Nebraska, check him out. Kimball, an 8-lane bowling facility owned by our own OBRL, Greg McDaniel. Go support those that support this series and check out Kim Bowling. We've also got Victor Lane Sports coming on as a sponsor this season. A great gaming community, big race fans. And they field drivers in several of the OBRL series. And I can't forget about our title sponsor, eMetro4.com. If you're looking for a new or used vehicle, check them out at eMetro4.com. They will get you financed. And they do a fantastic job taking care of our racers out on track. So thank you to all of our sponsors for this race as we get ready to start them back up after our third caution of the night. Jones and Brown on the front row. Ogle and Robinson your second row. Hinchcliffe and MacArthur the third row. As we fire them back off. Jones on the inside line. Brown on the outside line. All these drivers came in a lap 37 for 4 fresh Goodyears and a tank of gas. It doesn't look like long green flag run's going to be too much of a worry for the guys here today. Jones still out front, Brown second, Ogle third, Robinson fourth, MacArthur running fifth. Look at this, the rookie Dan Hill coming back out in the 112 machine. I believe Hill is actually a longtime member that joined back again, so he will have the triple-digit designation showing he's still considered a rookie until he gets his minimum races completed. He is up 29 positions so far tonight, running sixth on the track as we go 3 wide once more. Hopping back into 2 different grooves here. But well done to Hill coming back out of the series and running very strong. MacArthur moves up to third. Chasing Tom Ogle and Eddie Jones. Dan Hill now up fourth, now up 31 positions. Now we get a word from Dustin Martin, a good update. Dan Hill, we believe, is a true rookie. From our understanding, a driver starting with a 1 are, again, proper rookies. Triple-digit drivers starting with a 2 are administrative hold drivers coming back out after a hiatus. But we're going to have another crash. Carl Burke, Buscemi, Lindsay tied up in that one. As yes, that is indeed a parking lot. Let's try and slow that angle down a little bit, Carl Burke, and see what happened here. That's Burke and the number 52 machine. Oh, it's just ahead of him. A little bit of bumping and grinding, and Burke gets tagged in the outside wall. And look at the airtime once more. Who was that upside down? Was that Lindsay? Or is that possibly Buscemi? But man, the carnage at Auto Club is really delivering here today. Watch this one once more from Burke's onboard. Looks like, I think that was Brown gets a little bit loose. As they go careening across the waist. Ooh, still the impacts keep coming. And that was the sound of magical smoke leaving a race car. What a day this has been. Attrition quickly becoming the name of the game, as that until like it was in 3 and 4 from my understanding. Showing about, I believe it's going to be about 25, 26 drivers still on the lead lap, as a lot of drivers sent back to the hauler early today to think about where things went south. This is definitely not the normal for the Metro Ford Cup Series. Normally these will have a spattering of cautions, things going easy. We're going to get them gridded back up double file, as it looks like it's going to be about 26, 27 drivers in the lead lap, I believe. As a lot of drivers will be taking some extended stays in pit road to get those machines hammered back in the right direction. We'll get ready to fire him back up. Not quite at the halfway mark tonight. It's going to be a long one for the boys. As Jones and Ogle once again on the front row waiting for the green flag to fly. And there we go. It's time to go racing once more. Jones still out front, MacArthur right in tow, and second. Ogle trying to work the outside line. I was trying to see who the black car is. I think that's Dan Hill making moves once more. Still within the top 5, up 30 positions, but Josh Robinson's going to dive up the inside line as the number 6 machine of William Fletcher also trying to follow suit. Hill staying committed to the outside line is behind them. Everybody's still trying to work out who they're going to run with, who they want to be next to. Now there are unlimited tires behind pit wall this evening, as most of the top 13 drivers stayed on their set of tires. You've got Crank Bell running 15th. He came a lap 45, excuse me. It looks like he may have taken tires, if not trying to get some repairs done. As look at that, Fletcher sends it in deep. Has to back out of it though. Unable to make that move quite work as safely as he'd like, as Dan Hill is going to pass Robinson on the outside line using the draft from Tom Ogle. As the battle for 4th, Dan Hill, William Fletcher, Josh Robinson really heating up. Looks like Fletcher gets lost outside the draft, but sends it in deep once more. Surely he's burning up a little bit more tires with those aggressive moves as he's going to slide up next to Hill again. Fletcher not afraid to run it in deep, but again, you've got to ask how much tires is he sacrificing with these big moves early on? Or is he planning on track position being king and maybe betting on another late race caution? As now it'll be a battle for the lead. Tom Ogle trying to make some ground on Eddie Jones. Oh, around goes Hinchcliffe. Hinchcliffe, gone. Where'd Hinchcliffe go? Anybody? So I think Hinchcliffe may have alt F4'd there as he gets careened around. Dropping like flies at Auto Club. I feel fairly confident to say this may be the most caution-filled race that Metro Ford has seen in a long time. Everybody coming to grips with these newer cars. And you can definitely tell the drivers having a bit of a tough go with it. This will be our 5th caution of the evening. As it looks like everybody 1st through 18th will come down pit road for this lap 55 caution pit stop. Milligan opting to stay out. He came in a lap 45. Maybe a little front right damage on the number 18 machine. Kind of hard to spot as you see the lucky dog get his wave around. I think Milligan maybe had just a little bit of a crease on that front right fender. Yeah, you can see just a little bit there, but not too worse for wear, all things considered. So we get them stacked back up with Milligan and Ogle the front row, Robinson, Jones your second row, MacArthur and Fletcher will be your third row. Green flag is out, away we go. Let's see how Milligan does with about 9 lap older tires than Ogle, Robinson. Pretty much everybody inside the, I believe, the rest of the field here all the way back to 25th. I believe all came in on lap 54. Ogle looking up towards the inside line. He's accompanied by Eddie Jones, MacArthur on the high line as we go 3 wide for the race lead. Ogle in the middle, Milligan on the high side, and Eddie Jones on the inside line. Oh, 3 wide again. Now it's MacArthur in the middle. Jones still on the inside. Milligan on the outside line. Not even to the halfway mark, and drivers pushing extremely hard here. As we've got somebody with a bad connection issue. I'm wondering if that may have been McDaniel in the 30 machine. No, it's not McDaniel. It's Strandberg in the 58. As MacArthur will take over the race lead from Milligan. Jones still trying to work the inside line as well, but doesn't have the draft support quite yet that he's looking for. A lot of three-wide action for not even at the halfway mark. Jones almost tags Ogle. And now it'll be Josh Robinson's turn to try and dive up the inside line. The fast Canadian Dwayne MacArthur to try and take over the lead. Both of these drivers on the same fuel and tire strategy, coming in on lap 54 in mass. And we are officially at the halfway mark, ladies and gentlemen. Ogle trying to make some moves on MacArthur right behind them. Jones and Fletcher going at it in a wild battle for fourth. 60 laps in, everybody hasn't really taken a break. It's been non-stop action from start to beginning. Normally we see some single file runs and see some green flag stops, but so far not the case. As we've got somebody off track, I believe it's Dan Hill, the hard-charging rookie. Oh, look at the airtime. Has he lifted at all? Oh, he's swapping. He's getting loose. He's getting loose. It was almost a save. And that will bring out the caution. We knew that caution, it looked like he had it, but the newcomer opted to hold it wide and make something happen. Let's watch this. As we, ooh, it's not even Hill's fault. Somebody tagged the wall in front of him. He goes down, but I guess the only thing you can really fault Hill here is for not lifting. Is let's wait for the air time. Jumping the 112 machine, motocrossing it through the infield. And that's where it gets a little bit south, but well done to Hill for the effort. Before, unfortunately, it just finally came around for him, but that was almost the save of the day. But right now it's still going to be held by Patrick Milligan for his early white knuckle moment. And that brings out the 6th caution of the day. Just about everybody down pit road. Let's see if any fortunes were won or lost on pit road. Not a whole lot's going to change in the running order. Everybody taking 4 tires and fuel. Robinson, MacArthur, Ogle, Bell, and Jones will be the top 5 here. And again, we got to give it up to Dan Hill. Did a fantastic job trying to save that incident and just not close enough to make it happen. Robert Hill Jr. joined us. Good to see him in the spectator area. He's cheering on Andrew Hess in the 54 machine. MacArthur and Robinson in the front row. Bell and Ogle your second row. Where did Bell come from? He's up 35 positions in the 116 machine. There's some hard-hitting newcomers in the Metro Ford Cup Series. Pace car is in. We wait for the green flag to fly. And let's send him back out. Oh, MacArthur and Robinson leaning on each other up front. Ogle and Bell side by side on the second row. As it looks like Eddie Jones, number 14 machine, trying to figure out where he's going to go. Fletcher still having those connection issues with a minor blinking. And are MacArthur and Robinson really leaning on each other here? As here comes Bell working the outside groove, trying to link up with Robinson. The newcomer in the 116 machine is currently up 35 positions, make it 36 as he shows just ahead of MacArthur. But MacArthur and Robinson, Ogle, Jones, all these other guys inside the top 5 are definitely veterans to the Metro Ford Cup Series. So they may be picking their moments a little bit more cautiously here, as we have had that yellow flag out so many times. You've got to make it to the end if you want a chance of winning it. And MacArthur, as a reminder, did win our season opener last week at Daytona. And he's one of those drivers who's definitely no stranger to finishing high in the points at the end of the season. Robinson holds on to the race lead, but Bell trying to make something happen. Bell has fire in his eyes. He wants to get up front for the first time at the Metro Ford Cup Series. Now we still have relatively great tires of the machines as they're only about 5-6 laps old, making about 7 laps old as they cross the line. So drivers still able to make some big lunges here before the tires start to plateau ever so slightly, as well as the lap times. And maybe, just maybe, we'll see a long green flag run here in California to let the long run drivers show their potential. As it stands, it's been a bit of a series of sprint races tonight. And I stand corrected, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to apologize profusely for wishing that into existence, as Dan Hill has an incident. We get an update from Larry Corey. His engine let loose in the number 17 Chevrolet Camaro. And let's see what happened to Hill, who's had quite a roller coaster of an evening. Lifetime update for me. Looks like we're very briefly 3 wide. He comes up, cuts across somebody who is going to hit the incident limit there and get disqualified. But Dan Hill, second big incident of the night, and unfortunately he will most likely be at fault for that one. Good to see Terry Crouch join us as well tonight. So let's see if anybody comes down pit road. It's only been about 8 laps since they did. And they will, so drivers trying to put enough fuel in to make it till the end. If for some reason we do have a green flag run. I've got to say, for those tuning in late into the race, this may be the oddest OBRL race I've had the pleasure of calling in a field that's known for great driving. There's something about these next-gen Cup cars maybe being added to the schedule. Last or subsequent season, they ran the Gen 6s, but the Gen 7s, drivers having a rough go coming to grips with it. As it looks like MacArthur not quite settled in his pit stall. Hopefully that doesn't affect the pit crew's time to get that machine worked on. And it's going to be Eddie Jones in and out in less than 10 seconds. Maybe a 2-tire stop, maybe just fuel. He's valuing that tracks mission, and he will take over the race lead. So now it'll be Jones, Robinson, Bell, Ogle, MacArthur, the top 5. With an average of about 10 laps per caution, Lee has sacrificed a whole lot of bodywork to the racing gods. Don Hastings makes a good point in the Spectator, saying maybe drivers should have. Well, from my understanding, let me rephrase that. During the gap season, they were still running the Gen 6 cars while waiting for iRacing and NASCAR to put out better data on these machines and basically plug it into the sim to get a better idea. But the data just, I don't think, was there during the gap season. So a lot of the drivers coming into this kind of cold, hopping in a car that they don't have hundreds, if not thousands of laps in compared to the last gen car. And as the sim gets more data from NASCAR and these cars get a little bit more true to form, that's going to make it a little bit more handful to drive compared to previous iterations where I don't, almost like a lame horse to drive. Not a lot of feedback, not a lot of horsepower, not a lot of way to spit yourself off. And now all of a sudden with the cars really coming to life, makes things quite exciting quite quickly. As here comes Bell in the 116 machine. He's going to have company with Josh Robinson, but it looked like Bell was trying to get a run up towards the inside line towards Jones, but now he'll be left out to dry. And let's see how deep he dives it to 3 and 4, side by side with Robinson. Robinson looks like he's going to take over the second place spot. Will he go all the way to the front, challenging Eddie Jones? Joey Buscemi has problems. He goes back to pit road. Will most likely be done and out for the evening. As we watch the battle for a second, Robinson on the inside line and Bell on the outside line. Up front, still Eddie Jones clicking off laps. Still side by side. Meanwhile, Ogle watching the party unfold. Fletcher and MacArthur side by side in the battle for 5th. I wonder what point, if they will, start maybe thinking about long runs is a fuel concern for anybody at this point. Because right now they're on track to have a 10 or 11 caution race if things don't get a little bit cleaner out here at Auto Club. As I say that, Jones, Robinson, Bell, tucking in single file. Is just Fletcher the only driver hopping out of formation as it stands. And I can't get over just how bumpy it is here at Auto Club as well. These drivers pogoing down the backstretch where the track is rippled from either brakes in the faster machines or the acceleration bumps that eventually form up when you have high horsepower, high downforce machines. In Ohio, a great example of that with their special sealant they put down to keep the track from getting too out of sorts. Oh, here comes Robinson looking to the inside line of Jones. In a battle for the lead, that big hole in the air is going to allow Bell to get right back up there. As Robinson has a great drive through turns 3 and 4, but now Jones has Bell on his back bumper. The draft may come into effect here. As Fletcher also going down the bottom groove to try and pick up a toe from Robinson. We've seen Fletcher diving in very deep into turns 1 and 3 time and again. Robinson doesn't have the drive out of 2 that he's looking for as he's side by side with Jones. Jones almost a tenth ahead here in the lead. And still, Robinson and Jones side by side. Robinson ahead just ever so slightly. Bell running on second in the outside groove, as now MacArthur. No, excuse me, that's going to be Ogle in the number 11 machine. He hops down the inside groove, so we're too wide, too deep for the battle for the lead. Just shy of 40 laps left to go for these drivers. Ogle looked like he's going to go back to the high line, decides against it. He's going to stay with his teammate Robinson on the inside line. Maybe trying to slow down the run that Bell is having in the 116 machine. And still too wide for the race lead. Robinson and Jones are going at it here. Ogle watching on, as right behind him, Fletcher and Bell are too wide. Now your top 8 drivers have a second advantage from 9th place back. And I don't think fuel or tires are a concern. They're pushing as deep as they possibly can late into this race at Auto Club. Brian Lindsay had a crash just not too long ago. He takes a tow back to pit road, so we will not have the caution come out, as it is a mad dash up here in the top 5. Right now it shows Jones, Ogle, Fletcher, Robinson, Bell in the top 5, but even that can change as these guys are diving extremely deep. Fletcher still committed to the inside groove, trying to work his way up to Jones, but Ogle's going to tuck in behind the number 14 machine on the outside line to try and leave Fletcher by himself. Ogle drops down the inside line. He's going to challenge for the lead with Eddie Jones, and it looks like he will get clear of the number 14 machine. Now it'll be Ogle, Jones, Fletcher, your top 3. They've pulled a little bit of advantage, about 8/10 over Robinson, who sits in 4th. Mike Schrader currently rounds out the top 5. As you can see, the gap that your top 3 have built up, almost a second now separating Ogle, Jones, and Fletcher from the 4th place driver, Josh Robinson. Robinson has Schrader, MacArthur, and Strandberg in tow. Looks like Jones trying to put the pressure back on Ogle. And now it'll be Fletcher's turn to follow suit. I don't know how many more big lunges Fletcher will be able to take, as I think he's using up just a little bit more tire than his competitors. We get ready to touch the lap 90 mark. We've got Kingfish Racing joining us. Lloyd Moore has a crash. He takes a tow back to pit road, again to avoid bringing out the caution. And still your top three drivers have a second gap over Robinson. Robinson, I wonder if he's going into fuel saving mode, but I don't think these drivers will have enough from what we've seen in practice. I think if we run this thing green, we're still going to find these guys about 18 laps short or so. Now, one of the drivers we talked to before the race said you could probably see about 50 laps out of a tank of gas, but that was not necessarily the case from what we saw in from practice. We were seeing about 28 to 30 laps was the fuel window for these drivers. As Fletcher gonna hop out of the groove slightly. Ooh, Fletcher trying to make something happen here. Not quite able to do so as the top four drivers starting to stack back up. Josh Robinson's joined the fray. Things are about to get heated. Ogle up front, Fletcher second, Jones third. And even that will change very shortly as these guys are bobbing and weaving, trying to make something happen. Dustin Martinson saying there's going to be more drivers join us in the spectator area. than they are out on track by the time it's all said and done, as Fletcher will now find himself 5th after Robinson and MacArthur have joined the lead pack here. Now these top 5 drivers, if Fletcher can hang with them, they still have about a 2.5 second advantage over Strandberg, who is in 6th. As it looks like Ogle and Jones will soon have traffic to contend with. What's going to happen here is the race leaders all trying to slice through. That's Garisco just ahead of Ogle. As this is, for certain, I think the longest run we've had of the night. 23 laps. Looks like the top 5 drivers able to get through nice and clean. Fletcher has taken over 4th once more from MacArthur. 23 laps left to go. As Crank Bell on the 116 machine will be our first driver to initiate a green flag stop. And here we go, Ogle and Jones battling hard for the lead. Robinson watches behind. Looks like Jones backs out of it. Ogle will be up 9 positions from where he started so far tonight as we get to the tail end of today's main event. And man, oh man, are they bouncing around. Twenty laps left to go. As now it's going to be Robinson and MacArthur battling for second. MacArthur's not going to have a whole lot of support here battling for the lead as Robinson and Ogle are teammates running first and second. MacArthur's going to try and have to find an ally up here and make something happen if he wants that top spot. It's going to be tough with the two Team Miata drivers running first and second. They've been very potent in seasons past. Looks like Fletcher has no plans of working with anybody. He's still committed to the inside line as everybody else running single file on the high groove. Fletcher drops back to fifth. Eddie Jones picks up another spot. And man, has Fletcher been diving in deep here through 3 and 4. But with 17 laps left to go, how are our drivers doing on fuel? They're only about, for the most part, anywhere between 6 to 7 tenths off their fastest lap times of the evening. As the field makes their way through traffic, they've got a 6.3 second advantage back to Hess, who's still running 6th, but not a bad night for Hess in the 54 machine. He's up 15 positions. As here we go, MacArthur trying to put some pressure on up front. Ogle and Robinson quickly navigating traffic. Ogle goes back up high. Robinson a little bit slow to follow. Well, laps left to go. Drivers have been out for a long time. We may have been wrong here. I thought we saw drivers doing 30 laps on fuel at a time, but Looks like they're stretching out. Maybe some of our drivers join us in the spectator area can give me a heads up on that one or a bit of an update. Looks like Dan Hill may have retired from the event. He took a small tow. Currently have 18 drivers on the lead lap with 11 laps left to go. So it'll be Robinson leading some laps here in the number 23 machine after he's worked his way around Ogle. Jones also gets around Ogle, now sitting second. Johnny Tilton saying he's expecting right around 50 laps on a tank of gas, so that should put these drivers good to the end with maybe 1 or 2 laps left to spare. It'll be interesting to see what happens here if we get that late race caution, as this is for certain the longest clean run we've had, just looking at 40 laps of green flag racing so far. As looks like Fletcher looked like, I don't know what he was doing there. Almost looked like he was hinting at going down pit road. All these drivers inside the top 5. Last came in a lap 72. It was Eddie Jones had a bit of a short stop, 5 seconds quicker than the rest of the field out front. And now Jones and Ogle battling hard for the second place spot. A little bit of side-by-side action. MacArthur still sits in third. Ogle hops back in the inside line, but Fletcher wants that spot from Ogle. Looks like Ogle will hold on to it here, driving it almost too deep there. Wonder if he was in the draft of MacArthur and maybe got drug in a little bit further than he had planned. The draft here at Auto Club has been pretty potent all race long. Robinson trying to break the draft of Jones, but Jones not having any of it. I still think it's anybody's guess who's going to bring it home here at the end, as these top 5 drivers have been pushing very hard. Now, statistically, Robinson is probably the odds-on favorite to bring home a win here back in his first debut of the season. We all watch with bated breath to see what's going to happen here with 5 to go. MacArthur sitting about 2/10 behind Jones. Fletcher about 3/10 behind MacArthur. Looks like Ogle has rapidly dropped off the pace here. He has lost the draft of the race leaders. I'm wondering if he's maybe worried about fuel, as the top four now pushing as hard as they possibly can. Yeah, now Ogle's 3 seconds behind this lead pack, so I think he may be going into hardcore fuel saving mode, worrying he's not going to have enough to the end, or maybe thinking there's going to be a late caution with 4 laps left to go. But a gutsy move for sure out of the number 11 machine to back off the pace, as he's just over a second slower than your top 4 drivers. McDaniel comes down pit road. He thinks he's not going to have enough fuel to make it till the end. So now let's see, do any of these drivers, they've been out, it'll be about 50 laps at the tail end of this race on a set of tires. It'll be 48 at the finish line. Do they have any tires left to make any big moves? They're all about 6, 7 tenths off their fastest laps of the race, but making it a lot harder for those deep dives that we've seen William Fletcher make early into the run. Or is the high line going to be dominant now, as the white flag will fly the next time by? MacArthur looks to the inside line of Robinson. Can he make it work at this point of the run? Jones follows suit. Where is Jones going to go? He stays behind MacArthur. White flag is out. It shows MacArthur by about 0.06 of a second. At this 2-mile raceway, not quite, a super speedway such as Daytona or Talladega, but the rule has always been you don't want to be the lead car in the final lap, and that will be MacArthur currently in the lead, as Robinson and Jones side by side. Fletcher trying to figure out where he's going to go. MacArthur, the inside line, goes back high, drops down low, trying to pinch off jumping Eddie Jones. Eddie right on the back bumper of the fast Canadian. MacArthur trying to make it as wide as he possibly can. Who's it going to be as we hint at going 3 wide? It's going to be MacArthur, Jones, Robinson, your top 3 at Auto Club after a fantastic green flag run to cap off a race that was spattered by early cautions. Well done to these top 3 drivers. That was a fantastic show. And another good talking point, it's going to be, I believe, Tim Kennedy in the number 68 machine. He will be our hard charge of the evening, finishing 9th, and he will be up 25 positions today. We're going to get our post-race picture here. A great shot of our competitors putting on a great show. Well done to MacArthur, Jones, and Robinson as we get ready to get a top 3 podium interview going. For some reason, having a bit of a hard time getting Robinson, but I know why. It's because he's got checkers in front of his name. Up first, we'll be joined by Josh Robinson, the number 23 machine. Josh, first time out this season, finishing a third. You can't be too disappointed after a fantastic run out there in the Ford Mustang.
No, that was a lot of fun. It went pretty well today.
Now, were you expecting that green flag run to ever happen? We saw those early cautions, probably one of the roughest starts to a race I think I've seen since we started broadcasting here at OBRL, but finally getting a green flag run, what seemed to be like out of nowhere.
That's our jam to get some long green flag runs in here. I think bunch of new guys, full field, and a new car. And this is the first time we've had the car on a non-super speedway as well. So all those things coupled together, you're going to get some additional cautions.
Well, Josh, it's great having you back out here for the Metro Ford Cup Series. We know you're a dominant driver last season, and are you looking forward to the next gen Cup cars? Or are you more excited now that we're getting more data, or what's your feeling on the car?
I like it so far. It was a little bit snappy loose today. If you started getting loose, you really couldn't overcorrect, or you could go right into the wall. And I think we see a lot of that at the beginning. But overall, I'm pretty excited for it.
Awesome, Josh. Always having you a great time. Good to have you back up here in Victory Lane for the first time this season. I'm sure the first of many to come. Josh, who do I give a shout out to? Friends, family, sponsors that's helping you out this season.
Just want to thank my Team Miata teammates. We'll go with Tom Ogle, Andrew Hess, Dale Copeland, and Joe Brown.
Awesome, Josh. Great time talking to you, man. Congratulations on third, and we wish you the best of luck in future races.
Appreciate it, James. Thanks for the broadcast.
Thank you, sir. That was Josh Robinson finishing third. Up next, we got Eddie Jones, the number 14 machine. Eddie, great race out there tonight. Seemed like at any point we didn't know who was going to have it inside that top five.
Yeah, it was definitely a chess match, back and forth, back and forth. Thought it was going to be a fuel run at the beginning, then got some cautions, and then it just turned into a race. But good race all in all.
Now, Eddie, the first time not at a super speedway this race, as we heard Robinson say, in a newer car. Did it take you guys a little while to figure out what lane you wanted to be on, and did that really change throughout the run, or was it pretty much a single or double groove track and just kind of playing the draft game?
It was two grooves, a lot of drafting, I learned a lot more in this practice session before the race and in the race than I did, practicing this week. So it was two grooves. I think the bottom was a little better, but fun race.
Well, it looked like a lot of fun. Really good seeing some of the usual names and suspects up there battling hard and racing around guys you can trust. Eddie, I know it's been a late evening. Who would you like to give a shout out to? Friends, family, sponsors that's cheering you on this season.
I got to thank my sponsor, Jones Sign Company. Got to thank all my teammates, especially D Wayne right there. We came up with something at the last second to get by Josh, and yeah, that's it.
Awesome, Eddie. Always a great time talking to my friend. Congratulations on a very well-earned second place tonight.
Thank you, man. Good job.
Thank you, sir. That was Eddie Jones in the 14 machine finishing second, but now the man of the hour, Dwayne MacArthur, making it two in a row this season and bringing it home here at Auto Club.
Hey, James, thanks.
Hey, brother, good to talk to you. Good to see you two in a row. Starting the season off strong. It looked like this race was going to be pretty rough for all drivers. And I think it was like the opening 70 laps. I think we had 6 or 7 cautions. Definitely outside the norm of the Metro Ford Cup Series.
Oh, absolutely. The guys out there are doing their best. This car is a big adjustment. This is the first kind of normal track we've been on, and it's really free, and the tires heat up on a different cycle, and it's a lot to get used to. So, the guys did a hell of a job doing what they did, but I'm sure the fans loved it a little. Fans love caution, so it was probably a little entertaining for them.
Now, next week we go to Las Vegas, more of a standard cookie cutter. Then we've got Phoenix coming up. We've got Martinsville in April. We've got Bristol Dirt on April 17th for round 9. Now, as these drivers get used to the newer cars, how do you think that's going to shape up into the season once we go to some more of the more technical and unique tracks?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't really know. Kind of excited for Vegas. I'm excited to drive a mile and a half in this car. Not so excited for Phoenix, Martinsville. Not typically. I'm glad I had a couple of good starts to start the season. Might be a few rough weeks.
Well, looks like so far, though, at least it's starting off strong, building up some points and keeping the old IPL limit low. What do you think? I mean, was it just the new car and a more technical track that saw those uncharacteristic cautions tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of guys, their first time in. There was a lot of guys didn't make it into practice throughout the week, and so for some guys, it was their first time in this car. Um, so I think that kind of led to it. Wasn't a lot of aggression. It's just the car is so on edge, and the nature of this track with the runs and the draft and so many lanes that it just puts you in those positions easier, and then the car's a little unpredictable when it's beside somebody as we get some experience in it.
Well, it looked like a lot of fun out on track, especially once those top five drivers had a breakaway. A lot of fun to watch up here. I know the fans enjoyed it, as well as the racers who tuned in, who went back to the holler a little bit prematurely. But, Dwayne, as always, you have the distinct luxury and privilege, my friend, the final send-offs. Friend, family, sponsors, the floor is all yours.
Yeah, I'm just gonna thank the people that make this show go. First of all, Metro Ford in Chicago, Patrick Milligan. Our other sponsors, Victory Lane Sports and Kim Bull. Thanks to them. Thanks to my team, Last Ditch Racing. Eddie Jones gave me a real big push there for the win. Really, really couldn't have done it without him and the other admins that help keep this league run every week. And then, of course, everybody who comes out. I mean, these fields are full and these racers are great. And there's a reason that this series is what it is. So thanks to everybody, and thanks to you, James.
Always my pleasure, my friend. Congratulations back up here, and have a great evening. I hope to see you back up here next week.
Not likely, but thanks. Appreciate it. We'll see you there.
Thank you. That was Dwayne MacArthur finishing the number 1 spot in the number 83 machine. A great race from all these drivers. And it was Dwayne MacArthur, Eddie Jones, and Josh Robinson rounding out the podium. Great to see all the guys back out, some familiar names and faces. And as always, on behalf of the Old Bastards Racing.com League, as well as Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, thank you all so much for spending your Sunday afternoon with us here in the booth. And we look forward to having you back same time, same place next week. Have a great night, everyone.